Vigilante Williamson here with a very simple question. Does America care about its children? The release of the movie Cuties has sparked a ton of controversy, rightfully so. I think it's disgusting. I think the defense of it is disgusting. We're going to get into a lot of that in this video. But I think the question needs to be asked because unfortunately, this movie Cuties did not happen in a vacuum. It happened because the powers, the individuals who actually bought this movie to be, felt comfortable enough to do it. Some of the defense of this film include the identity politics of the director, her racial background, which has nothing to do with the content of this film and the way it was created. Another excuse is this weird partisanship where they're attempting to make it a conspiracy theory. They're attempting to put everything on the marketing and ignore from the actual content of the film. Another excuse, which by no means excuses what the content of this film is. And I've never seen it, I never will. I've never even seen the trailer, which has millions of downvotes on YouTube. But there's this thought that this film is against what it seems to promote in regards to the way it portrays children. And while I think the way this film does it, and there were other ways of achieving it, which I'll get into a little bit later, I think that point needs to be addressed because we do have a culture that has unfortunately normalized it because we've attacked children for so long. Quite frankly, a lot of this stuff was news to me because I don't have any children. I'm one of the generation of childless millennials to which the sexualization of TikTok and things like that, I had no fucking clue. I had no idea of. And there's a lot of us who actually don't know what's going on with kids. And those who do, and people in the school systems I get into, because there's a lot of content in this, and I actually get off my ugly mug and on to the screen. We can get into one of the first headlines about how Cuties became part of the culture war, more of the journalists who are trying to defend this. But there are people who have seen this and just accepted the normalization and not gone to their fellow citizen. You know, they see their daughter or their friend's daughter dressing a certain way, and they need to go to their friend and say, why are you allowing your daughter to dress this way? Because that's the commentary that this film describes and uses as an excuse to be, which I think there were other ways of achieving it. But let's get into this. Let's finally get into this. This is how Cuties, a French movie on Netflix, became a part of America's culture war because, again, there's journalists trying to defend this because it's a right-wing QAnon conspiracy theory, and you'll see that kind of craziness as we go along. But it's about an 11-year-old Muslim girl named Amy. She's caught between two worlds, her strict religious family, where she lives in poorest neighborhoods, one of the poorest neighborhoods in Paris, and they want to limit her Western cultural influence on her. But she's fascinated by her classmate, who is the ringleader of girls who dance in provocative outfits and call themselves, actually mignons because it's French, but Cuties, which is the name as it translates into English. And there's just this talk, and actually this doesn't do it justice of all this defense. They're talking about, oh, she's getting death threats and harassment, which I'm not a favor of death threats. When I looked at them, there were a lot of texts, and I'm like, okay, how do all these people have their number? You would think they would be on Twitter, so you can go about the receipts. A lot of, it's the marketing, which is disgusting, as you can see. And they keep talking about, it won Sundance, but if you look up the guy who ran Sundance, he's been prosecuted or at least charged with things on this. This is the director. There's a lot of defense. Oh, she's a black woman. This is a frame of black stories told in this homogenized industry. Netflix failed to film. This is Madame Noir. This is BuzzFeed News. They're talking about how it's about the Save the Children conspiracy theories. This is what the defense is. This is a conspiracy theory. This is bad marketing. They're silencing black voices. Can I get to Tessa Thompson? I think I talked about her in the first video. I made a video about this, and I tried to make a follow-up video. I'll get into that a little later. I'll probably show clips of it, but I couldn't do it because this stuff makes me sick. This stuff makes me legitimately sick. And I'm trying to find the Tessa Thompson quote. The Tessa Thompson quote about her saying it's a beautiful film. it's really disgusting, this defense. They're trying to gaslight us into believing it's just the marketing, the film's not that bad, it's just a poster. People saw the poster and petitioning for it to be removed. They're review bombing it. How dare these conspiracy theory. This is what Stephanie McNeil of BuzzFeed News is trying to feed you. Madame Noir is talking about just the marketing. Oh, they failed it. They're defaming black voices or whatnot. First off, look at these children. Look at their faces. How happy. You can see kind of the depressed smile in a lot of these kids' faces. They don't look happy. And I don't want to jump around and get too further in the video. But again, this is sick what happened. All this defense of it, this movie should not have been produced. The process of getting this movie produced is in and of itself exploitation of children. And this commentary could have been done. I'll show little reviews of it. This could have been done with 18-year-olds playing young. They didn't actually have to get 11-year-olds, but the director insisted on it. There is an outcry. There are tons of people canceling Netflix, which I think we need to do. We have to cancel Netflix. And remember that Apple Media also wanted this film. We need to cancel them as well, which I don't know how many people are willing to do that. And it's just this. She has this. The director of this. I'm not going to pronounce Dokor's first name. I'm probably pronounce her last name. She has this "Why I Made Cuties" video. Our girls see that a woman is sexualized on social media and she's successful, and yeah, it's dangerous. Okay, so why do you have to have 11-year-old girls in this movie? Why is that necessary? Can't you do this with 18-year-olds? I'm going through the tabs because I just want to show Scott Mendelson says the Cuties controversy is totally ridiculous. Okay, more defense of this. I don't know who this guy even is, but it's pushing the buttons of the right people because there's this political thing too. It's the far right. And I'm praying that these people are only caught up in the controversy and having not seen the film to know what the content is, and we'll get into the descriptions of what actually happens. Some technical difficulties there with this tab. I don't know what happened. I think I said in between that I'm being targeted, but I don't think that's happening, even though my videos have been suppressed. Cuties, the extraordinary Netflix debut that became the target of a right-wing campaign by this Richard Brody, who you need to investigate. I don't know why everyone who defends this movie doesn't have that, ladies and gentlemen, we got them, the FBI barging through their door. This is disgusting. But there's this, it's a right-wing thing because there's this promotional image showing these young girls in bikini-like dancing in provocative ways, and an inaccurate description, which we'll get into how accurate it was actually inaccurate in the wrong way. Didn't show enough how disgusting this fucking film is. But there's all this media defense. It's ridiculous. It's a right-wing conspiracy. I think this is the original tag that gave me issues. Look at this. Movie Bob. Movie Bob talking about Tulsi Gabbard, who I'll get into a little bit later. Matter of fact, let's get into it right now. This is what she said. She says, Cuties will certainly whet the appetite of these type of sickos and help fuel the trafficking trade. 1 in 4 victims of trafficking are children and happened to her friend's 13-year-old daughter. Netflix, you are complicit. Cancel Netflix. Good for you, Miss Gabbard. But of course, everyone's making it political. Trump, it has nothing to do with politicism. It has everything to do with decency. Why are we allowing that to even enter in this conversation? There's a little meme of Republicans and Democrats coming together. None of that matters. Everything shouldn't be political. I think a lot of these idiots are going into political realm with it. It's just about children. It's about caring about children. So look at this. I would love to see receipts about these death threats. If you can research them. There were some receipts supposedly from the director. They're all text or from a producer. I digress. There were some producers that had all these text, so-called receipts. I don't know who got this person's number. I don't know why they weren't on Twitter. You can take that how you want. I don't know about these receipts, but they're talking about, you're aiding and abetting the criticism of this filmmaker. So let's get into this film. If you knew nothing about this and just said, okay, maybe these promotional This promotional footage is wrong. This person is just a politician, which, hey, you shouldn't trust any politicians. Here's my Tessa Thompson quote. This is Tessa Thompson. I was trying to get this earlier. Cuties is a beautiful film. It gutted me at Sundance, even though the guy from Sundance is, of course, arrested on charges similar to this about abusing manners in a very inappropriate way. It was a fresh voice at the helm. She's a French Senegalese black woman mining her experiences. That's a lie. She was mining the experiences of children. She actually did interviews. I'll prove that later. But if you just saw this controversy, you didn't know the particulars, you may believe them. Again, Cuties is getting people to cancel their subscriptions. You may say, why? Okay, so let's get into some of the descriptions of what's happening. Well, parents need to know, Cuties is a controversial French film with English subtitles in the U.S. that takes on different topics on how girls are influenced and doom. That said, the movie's candid treatment of the subject can turn off viewers and leave some feeling sad or anxious. Twin girl characters, they're 11 years old. Suggestive dance moves are filmed up close. They dress in skimpy clothes. They talk about sex and this grape with misconceptions that reveal their actual innocence is discussed and talked about. There's a scene where a girl plays with a condom on the ground, a used one, as it doesn't show right here, but I'll show later. In the park without knowing what it is, the lead character, Amy, will do anything to fit in. She's pushed into the boys' bathroom, trying to film a boy classmate peeing. This is disgusting. Her girlfriends flirt with boys online, offers to let one touch a boob. This is also disgusting. These are 11-year-old girls. They're trying to compensate for having underpants photographed and shared publicly after losing a fight. This is crazy. One of these girls, all young girls, posted private parts on social media. This is just crazy. She undresses for a grown man. This is what happens in this movie. And they give it a 4 rating. But let me get into some more descriptions and then I'll get into some of the reaction. Because look at this is someone's Twitter. This is the description in Britain. Parental warning. During one of the many highly sexualized erotic dance scenes that purposely exploit and objectify numerous scantily clad and underage girls, one of the many female child dancers lifts up her crop top to fully display her bare breast that's lawfully described as this and can be extremely distressing to many viewers. No shit, it shouldn't exist. An 11-year-old girl watches a female rap video where naked women role play dance both through the heterosexual lesbian acts. An 11-year-old female dance group mimics these moves via themselves while camera zooms in on their body parts as they erotically writhe. This can be distressing to viewers. So remember that, keep that same energy. Remember how the controversy is totally ridiculous. Remember, you're distracting from a black voice. I don't know if I can find that. It's a right-wing campaign. It's a commentary that in order to cast just one character, this is just to cast Amy. You'll hear this number for the movie. No. Remember, this is a multiracial cast. I can't get a picture. It's a multiracial cast. It seems to be these 4 main girls on the poster. These 4 main girls. So there's 650 just for one character. Look at this. 650 just to cast one of these characters. There are 2 black characters, 2 non-black. I'm assuming they're both French white. I'm not 100% sure. This one looks like she could be a different nationality. I'm not sure. So that's 650 for one. That presumes thousands for the casting of this movie because there are 2 different ethnicities at least considered. So if at best 650 for both of these characters, let's pray they didn't do 650 a piece. That leads to 2,400 girls who had to twerk just for this movie to be made, just for of them to go through what I described. Oh, there's more to it. A pair of tight pants on an 11-year-old girl are forcefully pulled down in the midst of a scuffle, and the camera glances at her panty exposed. This is disgusting. Now, it talks about how the actress is only 14 years old. I had to edit because I had some technical issues. The actress is 14 years old. Now, she was younger when the movie was filmed. And she's playing an 11-year-old. So you already have someone playing younger. You could have had an 18-year-old play younger. Another thing you want to do, if I can get into this, I'll get into a motivations of this, the sick director, who, again, the screenwriter insisted on working with an exceptionally young cast. Insisted. This was her choice on working with an exceptionally young cast. She's trying to show the point that these young women are looking up to these over-sexualized women, and I agree with that. I think because we don't criticize the way women dress, there's a lot of, it's the male gaze, but if a man says, hey, a woman should dress modestly, he's a bigot, he's this, that, and the third. So we've nullified the ability to criticize how adult women dress, and then we have these young women who look up to these adult women, but somehow it's all the male gaze. It's all the male gaze. There are men and women who want to criticize this type of stuff, and we can't. And then it feeds into this culture. She wanted to get the 2020 version of youth. So for a year and a half, she started groups of young girls in the streets, sometimes in schools, when organizations open up their door to her. This is with the director. She recorded them filming when she had their parents' authorization, and she gathered their stories to see where they situate them as children, girls, and as future women, how they place themselves in society, treat their girlfriends, family, and with social networks. So she did all this research. Why not you could have did a YouTube video just showing those interviews. If you wanted to comment on the reality of this, but you didn't. You insisted on doing a movie with young women. Instead of 18-year-olds, instead of adults, you insisted. And now, if someone calls it out, this politician, look at this. Look at this feedback. It's official, you're not a Republican, because that has anything to do with this shit. Happens in America, of course, they got to do the counter, where Trump voters go to these child modeling shows in rural America, ask the parents who they voted for. Here's what I will say. This child modeling stuff, it's been sick. The Honey Boo Boo, the pageant moms and all that, that's sickening. We got to get rid of that. That adds to it because this didn't happen in a vacuum. We over-sexualized our culture. We've normalized. We have Cardi B twerking out there. You have all this stuff. And this has been going on since I was a kid. You know what I mean? This has been going on since Madonna. This has been going on since Madonna. We keep over-sexualizing. And feminism defends it. Okay. Well, there's a point of no return, and I think we're on the precipice of that. We have to say, you know what? We have to be more conservative as a culture so we don't allow crap like this to be normalized. Because you'll see that defense as I get into a lot of the comments, and then you obviously jumped the bandwagon without watching the film, says this sick fuck. Even though we went through what the description of what happens in this film is. Because there's more. This talks about the rap video, which we talked about, and it says one woman reveals a naked breast. We talked about it wasn't a woman, it was an 11-year-old girl revealing her naked breast, as shown here. But the IMDb wants to try to cover for it. Okay. An 11-year-old scuffle. The camera glances at her underwear. 11-year-olds revealing clothing. Children are watching pornography on the cell phone. They say nothing is shown, but girls are huddled around the phone and talking about what's going on. A woman's bare breast slips from her top at the end of a music video. 11-year-old girl watching explicit music of strippers with fabric covering their stuff, with little fabric covering their stuff. These are 11-year-old girls, and they're twerking and grinding and smacking each other, making lewd gestures. These are 11-year-old girls. Did that need to be filmed? Was there another way of getting this point across besides filming that? Do the people who are talking about the point it makes realize that just filming that is self-exploitation? Frequent scenes of 11-year-olds dancing where the camera zooms in on those sections. 11-year-olds dressed in a tank and panties and splashed with water. This is disgusting, and begins twerking in a frenzied way. This is just crazy. So let's get into some more of the comments of the people. There was this Common Sense Media. There's a comment. So most of these comments are the Common Sense Media. Disturbing, discussing, buffet for you know what, and Jimmy Savile, I think, was even invoked. Child abuse, despicable. I think most people can agree with, but there's one interesting one I want to get to. This is a crazy one, and I'll use it as a jumping off point because I want to explore the culture at large that I think created this sickness. Giving this film 3 stars, not because I liked it or didn't like it, but to distinguish it from the 1-star reviews that really say nothing about the content. The contrary, this film was very well written and makes this point exceptionally well. Never mind what had to happen for this film to even exist. Who cares about that? Who cares about the 650 plus girls that only casted for one character? Who knows how many girls were casted for or were taken in to be casted just for the entire movie? You saw the scenes that I just read. What happens in this movie? But that's justifiable because it makes a good point. This is the just really weird woke. She said, I watched this film. I'm a parent of children, 4 girls, 4 boys, all under 19. So this review is written from that perspective alone. She said, I did not watch it with my husband and children. When I show it to my husband or children, I'm glad to watch it for my own benefit. By this film, according to her, this I'm assuming semi-feminist, as I'll call her, that this film should only be viewed by adult women who do not have attraction to young girls. Because we know, and of course, this woman's actually a teacher. Of course, got to be a woke, crazy-ass teacher. We know there's no women in a damn educational system attracted to children. We know that for a fact, don't we? And of course I'm being sarcastic because that's something that the media covers up for, but I digress. Only adult women should watch this film, and only the ones who don't have attraction to young girls. And of course she's going to be the one who goes on Netflix to make sure that these adult women, who are the only ones who should be allowed to watch this film according to her, make sure they're not attracted to girls. But I'm gonna keep going. Can this be perceived as what it is? Absolutely. Because that's what it is. The end. It shouldn't be produced. This is the point I'm coming to this comment for. Because I don't have any children. I'm not involved with children, but a lot of you may. And you may be involved with the school system. This person is a teacher, as I get into it. I'm sure I'll reading this whole thing. She says this can be viewed as what it is. But watching young girls on the beach in thong bikinis, why do you have your daughters in thong bikinis? That's all parents. Y'all need to ask yourselves that. She says this movie proves how destructive this hypersexualization is, and that there are extremely uncomfortable parts that made me squirm and hit. Fast forward, I cried a bit as well in this movie. It shouldn't exist because it's heartbreaking. That being said, it was nothing in this movie that shocked me because I live in 2020. I go to the beach like everyone else in America. My fast ain't been to the beach in years. So I see girls in more skimpy clothing at younger ages that are displayed in this movie. So I think that's a statement for all of us in culture. Why are we allowing that to happen? Because that's why the people who made this movie think it's okay to make it and think they can gaslight us into accepting it, because we've already accepted it to an extent. And that's what this person who shouldn't justify, and they're weird about justifying it, but this point is valid, and this is what we need to explore as people. Do we care about our children? I asked that in the beginning. I'm asking it now. Do we care about our children? It's a very simple question. Very simple. And I'll get into other situations outside this cutie situation that ask that very question. As an elementary school teacher, I see shocking things written on the walls of the bathrooms in elementary schools. I can look on the wall of Victoria's Secret and see bra and underwear labeled sexy, and see the exact same one at Macy's, only for little girls. Why did we allow that? As a culture, we have to stop that. Last week, one of my friends posted a picture of her 7-year-old in a thong on the beach on Instagram. Why didn't you check your friend? You're posting this media. You're just, oh, it's just normal. Check your friend. The fact that we've accepted it as a culture, which we shouldn't have, doesn't mean to continue to accept it. It surprises me how much uproar is surrounding this movie when it's nothing new. Rather, it's a reflection of a broader issue that's pervasive in all society, not just Netflix. She says that children taking these type of pictures and texting to others is a huge issue in American schools. So that is an indictment of the parents, of the people who are outraged. That point is valid. As a culture, we have to do more. There's another comment I want to read. on IMDb if I can get to it. Okay, there's a comment on IMDb. Hopefully I can find it. Okay, the problem is not the movie itself. This is another comment. People who say see the film first don't understand the outrage. Netflix purposely marketed this young film as cuties dancing in skimpy outfits. The original poster was a glorification of a huge taboo. The real issue is adults sat in a room together, came up with the idea to market this to a specific fashion and draw attention. That itself is repulsive. Still, the sexualization of underage. Okay. Still, I can't even read this. This is just so sickening. I am having issues reading this. The sexualization is still being normalized. Just look at TikTok. I do not have TikTok. I have no social media outside of Twitter, which I'm barely active, and Parler, which I'm barely active, and I'm parked on Instagram, but I've not used it. But look at TikTok, and this rests on the shoulders of the parents, of which I completely agree, and the parents' values. It's funny how 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds can make videos dancing suggestively in bikinis to explicit rap lyrics, and we don't even bat an eye because they're famous. I am so old, I don't even know what this is a reference to, but this part of the culture, this part of pop culture where we just give our kids phones and just let them do whatever, we have to stop. I don't have kids. I'm not going to criticize any parents, but the excuse of giving your kid a phone at a young age, you have to remember that for thousands of years, kids have been without phones. So some parents are just going to have to be mean parents because we can't allow this culture to be normalized, because this did not happen in a vacuum. So let's get into other issues outside of Cuties, because this needs to be the lightning rod that gets us to understand that we have to do something. This has to be the hill that we die on, because America is attacking its children and has been for years. That's one of the things that criticism is valid. So this is a fact check on a recent bill. The Gavin Newsom signed a bill legalizing this. Now we'll see. And they keep making it this QAnon, this right wing crazy conspiracy theory, guys. Anytime this is brought up, they're doing everything to deflect away from it. The media. This is SACB.com. I've used very mainstream media sources throughout this, and they're defending this stuff or using this right wing as a defense. Gavin Newsom on Friday evening signed a bill into law that's aimed at creating parity in criminal sentencing for young LGBTQ people who have sex with other young people. That is not, once I show the bill, you'll see that is not actually the case, and that is lying. And it says that when a person is supposed to have had intercourse with a minor 14 years old or older, this is disgusting. Jesus fucking Christ. I knew this was going to be hard to get to. This is just disgusting. I didn't know this was on the laws in California. So apparently there was already laws for this that existed. And if the age difference is not more than 10 years, judges are given discretion on whether or not this person needs to register. And this is just supposedly to open it up to other forms. But let's look at the bill as it says. It mentions nothing about age. Do I have to control F? Yeah. Look at this. Age 1 to 3 matches. Average, that's the first time you see age. Average age and number of the victim. There's nothing about their age being 14. Okay, this has been a tough video. Lots of edits, I know, but it's just been really tough. Let's read what this California bill says. This is already voted into law. It's been made law. This bill will exempt mandatory registration under the act of a person convicted of certain offenses involving minors if the person is not more than 10 years older than the minor, and that offense is only requiring the person to register. So it's marketed behind identity politics. Has nothing to do with identity politics. It's a slippery slope of normalizing stuff like this. And again, this is talking about the 14-year-old. If you read through this, you do search, you can't find 14 anywhere. I already said age. Let's do some more searches. Let's Control F as my mouse just shits the bed as everything happens. Anything that has gone wrong, anything that has gone wrong or could go wrong has gone wrong in the making of this video. So let's see what 14, because they keep saying 14. I don't see. It's 145. I see the bill. I just see sections, and now we're back where we are. There's nothing mentioning this age in this bill. So you can't even type in 4. There's nothing mentioning this age in this bill, but there's other stuff that shows this culture that we've created. We've normalized the destruction of our children. Time to attack feminism. I'm probably going to get heat. Look at this. Unpregnant. I didn't hear about this comedy. I think until, I want to say The Quartering or somebody talked about it. But it's about, this film is about teenage abortion. And this film could get 20-year-olds. It had them play as 18, but unfortunately, Cuties, no, we had to get 11-year-olds. Because this person's 25 who played the lead. And she hopes it starts a conversation, right? You want to invite people that support decisions that Veronica made in the movie, but you also want to invite people that disagree, have a different belief, have a different viewpoint, and want families to watch this movie together. Young girls to watch this movie, young couples to watch this movie, and feel invited to talk about sex education and to talk about relationships, even though since sex education has been brought about, teenage pregnancies went through the roof, but that's neither here nor there. But this movie Unplanned, which is about one of the directors of Planned Parenthood regretting her decision and becoming a anti-abortion activist, it could get someone killed. A movie against abortion can get someone killed, but a movie about an abortion can't. Right. There's this demonization. This person said they want a conversation. That conversation has to go both ways. Look, I know I'm a guy, so therefore I can't talk about anything that has to do with a woman. But I'm a black man. And 4 out of 10 people with my phenotype don't even make it to goddamn term. So that's why I'm concerned about abortion, right? I don't want whether or not a black life even exists to be near a coin flip because a bunch of feminists are mad. Listen, feminism has been mad at black people ever since Jim Brown pumped and dumped Gloria Steinem. You thought you were reading this chick's anger for some reason. She's just some groupie that got angry at a football player and decided to become a feminist. Sorry to break your heart. But 4 out of 10 people, or 4 out of 10 pregnancies end an abortion for the black community. Don't I have a right to just not want that to happen? I'm a libertarian. I think a lot should be legal. That doesn't mean it needs to be encouraged. That doesn't mean a movie that opens up a conversation that's in a different way needs to be thought of as something that can get someone killed just because it's having a different conversation. And then the other one, it needs to be encouraged. We all need to see it together as a family. This is the culture that we've provided that says we don't care about our children. We don't care about our youth. Let's be honest. Most of our children nowadays are just tender hookups. And then they get co-parented out. So 2 households need to be supported instead of 1. And then you got to hand them a phone to raise them. They watch a bunch of crazy stuff. That's how you get Cuties normalized. This didn't come out of nowhere. There's more evidence that, this is why I asked, do we care about our children? This is at least somewhat positive, this I Stand With Sophie campaign, because the father has got custody back, and I'm not going to show the video. But basically, there's a video of this child who is screaming because she doesn't want to go back to her mother's house because her mother is allowing her boyfriend to abuse her and watching it. And she has very disturbing stories about it. It's disgusting. But because of the internet, because the judge was just going to give custody and kept giving custody back to the mom despite her testimony. But thanks to the internet, this hashtag Stand With Sophie campaign, the father has won full custody of his daughter. But that it took the internet getting involved for this to even happen is disgusting. And then there's more. I think I will play parts of this video. This is James. And actually, James or Luna, depending on what this means, because if you let them tell it, around age 3, Luna younger started asking to wear dresses. Since the age of 5, she has been insisting that she's a girl. Luna, now 7, during court hearings, physician and school staff. Family members have just testified that Luna has consistently and persistently identified as a girl. This is James Younger. I wish I could find a picture. They're making it a trans rights issue. Everything has to be political. First off, look at these 2 pictures. Another fake child smile. You be the judge. If you think this smile is genuine, that's your belief. This is a little bit more genuine, but I think this kid's already screwed up, as I'll show the video. This is him with his child and his father. This is the mother. Don't just look at the kid. Look at this. Doesn't she look like she just had to whoop her son? Come on, we've seen that face from our moms. But look what it's to make her child do. And if you think I'm being unfair and that's my criticism, you look at that picture, you judge yourself. What do you see when you see that? I'm telling you what I see. If you see something different, put below in the comments. You let me know if I'm off base. But I see a woman who's making her son wear a dress, and let's get into the video. Child being made.
Oh, you're a boy, right?
No, I'm a girl.
Who told you you're a girl?
Mommy.
You hear that?
When did she tell you were a girl?
Cause I love girls.
She said, I love girls.
So mommy told you you were a girl?
Uh-huh.
Does mommy do anything else like with a girl with you?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Like dresses.
What does she do?
She do put them on me.
She puts dresses on you? Oh wow. And what
You
else
hear
does
that?
she
Puts
do?
dresses on him.
She buys my headbands
Uh-huh.
and she get me hair clips.
Oh,
Hair clips. Okay, I can't watch this. This is sick. So I'm not sure if you guys heard this story, but this is got to be a trans issue. It's got to be political. It can't just be someone wondering, wait, does he really want to be a girl, or is the mom just pushing that on him? And you see the difference in coverage. They were making it seem like this is a Vox article. What could it mean for trans families nationwide? So I just explained a lot of evidence. And I got to re-ask the question again and again. Does America and does the world at large care about its children? I didn't get into all the comments. There was just so much material to cover. But there's a lot of comments that say, oh, there's overreaction. You saw the description. You saw how disgusting they were. Saw how repulsed I was just reading some of it. Does America care about its children? We can get outraged about Cuties, and we should be. We need to cancel Netflix. We need to remember Apple wanted this movie as well. We need to investigate everybody. I want to share a little story that I meant to share earlier. There's these things on Twitter called MAPs. I call them things because they don't deserve to be called humans. That stands for a minor attracted person. We have all these protective classes for these type of people. I'm not a street guy, but back in the early 2000s, just people I hung around, they would tell you that in the early 2000s, this is before there was Twitter, before there was Facebook, even before MySpace, really. This is the Friendster Black Planet era. Apparently, the police had files on everybody. They knew who was just buying a little bit of weed. They knew who was a heavy drug dealer. And they would have cases on everything you did, even things you were never arrested for, things you didn't know that the police knew you did. So you could have these files back in the early 2000s, yet all of these people can defend it, can defend this movie. We have a movement for minor attracted persons, calling them MAPs, trying to have protected classes. We have TED Talks about this. We have different cultures normalizing. We have legalization of this type of behavior happening. We have all these things happening. And you're telling me the FBI or no law enforcement organization has anything on any of these people? Come on, man. Not to paraphrase, you know who, Biden. But are you serious? You cannot be serious. You cannot be serious that there's not enough information that a lot of these people need to be investigated, especially everyone involved with the making of this movie. It does not take 650 girls to be casted, or to be, it does not take a casting call of 650 girls for one character. And there's no reason you could have done this with older actresses and had them play as if they were younger ages to be shocking. And this is disgusting. And there's no justification for it. But we also have to remember, we as a culture, we normalize way more than we should have, and we need to take a look at ourselves. We need to ask uncomfortable questions. We need to not hide behind identity politics, feminism. We need to just be human beings, not hide behind right and left wing. We need to be human beings and adults about the conversations we need to have and what we need to do, because this is our future. This is our kids, and we have to die on this hill. We cannot let up. We have to cancel Netflix. I don't care how much you like on it, you have to cancel it. I'm sorry. Because this is unbelievable and this is unacceptable, and everyone involved needs to be investigated. And we need to investigate what we're doing with our culture as a whole and what we're allowing with our culture, because that's why these people think that this is okay and that this is all right to be presented to the masses. And I did this entire video and I didn't mention Cannon Hennett. If you don't remember, which I hope to God that you do, he's a 5-year-old. He was killed by a man, and because the man was black, the story was suppressed. We can't let racial politics hide from what's wrong. Wrong is wrong. I didn't talk about 10-year-old Alina Anaya. I didn't talk about 7-year-old Natalia Wallace, and I didn't talk about 20-month-year-old Sincere Gaston, who are just 3 of many children who died in Chicago over the past few months. We have to care about our children. As a culture, as a society, our media is gaslighting us. They are trying to normalize disgusting acts, and we have to do better. This is on us. And I could go all day with different ways that we allow abuses on our children. I mentioned earlier about how our school system covers up for a lot of abuse. A lot of it done by women, believe it or not. A lot of it. And we have to stop normalizing it, and we have to start calling out our friends who allow their 7 to 12-year-old to 14-year-old to do things that girls should not be doing, and say, hey, why you have your girl or your daughter in that type of bikini on the beach? You put her in a modest bikini. What's wrong with you? We have to call out our friends and our family. We have to, because we cannot normalize that. So I've ranted long enough. This is going to be an extremely long video. And I thank you for watching if you made it through all of it. If you like the video, please like the video. If you have something to say about what I said, I would love to hear what you have to say. Let me know in the comments below. I think we need to discuss this, and we need to do something about this as a people, not just in attacking Netflix, but in what we live through as a culture and what we accept as a culture. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And even if you do none of these things but just watch the video, I'd like to thank you for watching and thank you for your time.